The Naked Gun didn't just break the rules of comedy. It tripped over them, exploded them, and then delivered a deadpan one-liner while walking away in slow motion. Born from the short-lived cult TV series Police Squad, which tanked in 6 episodes but somehow gave us this absurdist gem. The movie trilogy became one of the most beloved comedy landmarks of the late 80s and early 90s. With Leslie Nielsen at the helm, as the hilariously incompetent Lieutenant Frank Drebin, the films spoofed cop dramas, action blockbusters, and everything in between, including public stripteases, exploding podiums, and O.J. Simpson blunders. But behind all that chaos, there's a trail of casting close calls, lawsuits, and jokes that barely made it past the censors, and a few that never should have. So dust off your badge, ignore every regulation, and let's dive into 10 weird facts you never knew about the Naked Gun. Starting at number 10, the Naked Gun was born out of a TV show that nobody watched. Before Drebin tripped over every piece of furniture on the big screen, he was already bungling crimes on TV, and a show almost nobody saw, Police Squad, aired in 1982 on ABC and was canceled after just 6 episodes. Why? According to then ABC president Tony Tomopoulos, the viewer had to actually watch the show to get the jokes. Yikes! The Zucker-Abraham-Zucker trio, aka Zaz, the minds behind Airplane, were ahead of their time. Police Squad was fast, packed with gags, and completely unserious about everything, but it didn't gel with early 80s network audiences. Fast forward a few years and boom! They repackaged it into the Naked Gun in 1988. Same vibe, same style, same gags, but with a feature-length budget and Nielsen in his prime. Ironically, Police Squad would later be called one of the best shows ever canceled too soon by TV Guide. Sounds about right. Now, before we blow your mind with banana guns and courtroom chaos, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Number 9, the opening credits nearly got the studio sued. Everyone remembers the Naked Gun opening. POV of a police siren weaving through absurd places, hallways, showers, roller coasters, and even a women's locker room. Classic Zaz. But what you might not know is how much trouble it almost caused. Originally, they filmed one of the siren shots speeding through a live courtroom in session without permission. The production team later claimed it was all done as a visual gag and no actual legal proceedings were disrupted, but the threat of lawsuits loomed hard enough that Paramount forced them to reshoot parts of the sequence. They toned it down a little, but kept it just wild enough to stay iconic. And in case you were wondering, yes, they did get permission for the roller coaster shot. Barely. Number 8, Leslie Nielsen carried a fart machine at all times. No, really. By the time the Naked Gun rolled around, Leslie Nielsen had already transitioned from dramatic actor to full-on parody legend thanks to Airplane. But even off camera, the guy lived to make people laugh or cringe. His favorite weapon? A handheld fart machine that he deployed at press junkets, interviews, and on-set rehearsals without warning. During the Naked Gun shoots, he reportedly used it so often that even the extras started calling him Gas Man. Directors tried to get him to stop during serious takes. Didn't work. At one point during a courtroom scene, Nielsen let it rip. Just as the judge delivered a solemn verdict, everyone broke. Ruined the take. Worth it. He even brought the device to The Tonight Show, casually letting one loose mid-interview, as if that were part of his personal punctuation system. You don't win an Emmy for that, but maybe you should. Number 7, O.J. Simpson's role was way bigger than you remember and super awkward later. Yeah, we can't talk about the Naked Gun without addressing the most uncomfortable elephant in the room, O.J. Simpson. In the films, he played Officer Nordberg, the lovable, clumsy cop who always ends up maimed in increasingly ridiculous ways. And he nailed the physical comedy, falling down stairs, getting shot, run over, caught in hospital beds. It was basically the Wile E. Coyote of law enforcement. But here's the weird part. O.J. was a huge selling point when the movie came out. He was still a beloved football legend and growing TV personality. His name was on the posters. He did promotional tours Then came 1994, when Simpson was arrested and put on trial for the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. The Naked Gun legacy hit a strange snag. Some stations even stopped airing the trilogy temporarily, and Nordberg's scenes became bizarre to rewatch. The film was frozen in time. Still hilarious, but suddenly darker. Still fans of the franchise managed to compartmentalize. It was Frank Drebin's movie after all, not OJ's. Number 6, the Queen of England loved the first movie. Well, sort of. You know the scene in the first Naked Gun where Frank Drebin ends up posing as a baseball umpire, completely butchering the national anthem and eventually tackling Queen Elizabeth II? Legendary. But here's where it gets weird. The actual Queen herself saw the movie and reportedly laughed. According to screenwriter Pat Proft, Palace Insider said Her Majesty had a decent sense of humor and found the absurdity of the scene cheeky but charming. That scene, by the way, featured Jeanette Charles as the Queen, an actress who only played Queen Elizabeth in films. She had done it for years and even had to get royal clearance to use the likeness without offending the monarchy. Turns out the real Elizabeth got the joke and maybe, just maybe, secretly enjoyed the part where Frank saved her life using a baseball man in some very questionable Secret Service training. And if you think that's wild, oh, it gets only weirder from here. So hit like, smash subscribe, and let's keep going. Number 5, the movies had to fight off a lawsuit over a joke condom. Let's talk about the Naked Gun 33 1/3. The Final Insult. Yep, that's the actual title. A film that not only escalated every running gag, but also somehow triggered a legal battle over a giant full-body condom. Remember the love scene between Frank Drebin and Jane Spencer, played by Priscilla Presley, where they practiced safe sex by wearing head-to-toe latex? Well, that one moment, so hilariously ridiculous, it became an instant classic. Actually ticked off a real condom manufacturer. Trojan, yes, the brand, reportedly sent legal threats alleging that the film damaged the perception of their product by portraying safe sex as uncomfortable and cartoonish. The lawsuit didn't go far. It was more a sternly worded letter, but Paramount had to assure the world that the gag wasn't a jab at anyone's rubber. Turns out the gag was inspired by Airplane leftovers. The Zaz team had originally floated the idea for another movie and saved it for when the world was ready, and it still holds up. Number 4, the movie literally brought down the Oscars, sort of. The Naked Gun 33 1/3 wasn't just packed with laughs, it crashed one of Hollywood's biggest nights, the Academy Awards. In the film's finale, Frank Drebin disguises himself as Phil Donahue to infiltrate the Oscars and stop an assassination. He stumbles through a glamorously over-the-top ceremony with fake movie trailers like Geriatric Park and The Renegade Monk. But here's the kicker. The real Academy hated it. Despite being a parody of the Oscars, the sequence used such accurate stage design and branding that the Academy's legal team demanded that the filmmakers disclaim the whole thing. New cuts were sent to theaters with a disclaimer clarifying it was not affiliated with the Academy Awards. Meanwhile, Leslie Nielsen joked that if he ever got nominated, they'd probably revoke it after watching the movie. Spoiler, they never did. And let's be honest, who wouldn't watch Geriatric Park? Number 3, Weird Al Yankovic appears in every film because Leslie Nielsen said so. Did you catch him? The master of parody himself, Weird Al Yankovic, appears in every Naked Gun movie. But this wasn't a random cameo. It was a running gag orchestrated by Leslie Nielsen. Yankovic's first appearance came in the original 1988 film where he plays himself, mistaken for a terrorist and greeted at the airport like a celebrity. That one gag went over so well that Nielsen insisted they bring it back for every sequel. In the Naked Gun 2 1/2, Weird Al showed up at a party hosted by the villain, and in 33 1/3, he was a full-blown Oscar nominee, seated next to Drebin in the final act, even mistaken for him at one point. The idea to create a secret Naked Gun cinematic universe where Weird Al is just always around. Nielsen even joked that if they ever made a 4th film, Weird Al would save the day. And, well, he is in the 4th film. Weird Al later called it one of his favorite running cameos ever, and honestly, same. Number 2, the 4th movie was supposed to happen, then didn't, then almost did again, then finally did. Once the Naked Gun 33 1/3 hit theaters in 1994, everyone figured a fourth film was inevitable. The movies were printing money, Nielsen was still killing it, and the audiences were eating up slapstick like candy. And then it didn't happen. Paramount quietly shelved the idea. Some say it was due to Nielsen's age, which he was pushing 70, while others blame it on the increasingly expensive nature of the gags. But in truth, the franchise just ran out of steam, and the early 90s comedy landscape was shifting fast. Still, for decades, there were rumblings. In the 2010s, the ideal resurfaced with Ed Helms from The Hangover rumored to take over as Frank Drebin's son. Fans were not thrilled. Then came another pitch, Liam Neeson playing Frank Drebin in a reboot, written by Family Guy's Seth MacFarlane. Liam Neeson as Frank Drebin? That's either genius or sacrilege. The project stalled again, and in 2025 it finally got out of Hollywood's limbo. Although there's only one Frank Drebin Jr. could also create a name for himself. Number 1, Leslie Nielsen thought Frank Drebin was his most serious role. Yes, you read that right. Despite being one of the goofiest, most shamelessly ridiculous characters in movie history, Leslie Nielsen believed that Frank Drebin was his most serious work. Here's why. Nielsen came up in the 50s and 60s as a straight-faced dramatic actor. He played stoic military officers, astronauts, and doctors. When Airplane dropped in 1980, it reinvented him. But he never played those roles like comedies. He delivered every single line as if it were life or death drama. That's the key. He never winked at the audience, never cracked a smile. Frank Drebin could be fighting off a killer with a banana or mispronouncing a suspect's name, and he'd still act like he was solving Watergate. That deadpan sincerity was the joke. According to the Zaz Trio, this was intentional. They told him, play it straight, no matter how dumb it gets. And oh boy, did it get dumb. Gloriously dumb. Which is why Drebin still works decades later. No matter what fell apart around him, he was committed, fully, unapologetically, hilariously committed. So what have we learned, detectives? The Naked Gun wasn't just a trilogy, it was a comedy blueprint. Chaotic, fearless, packed with gags per minute, and weird in all the best ways. Whether you're watching for the banana slip or the accidental murder of a fish tank, it never fails to land. So if you ever find yourself lost in a sea of gritty reboots or cynical drama, pop in a Naked Gun film. Right now, you feel all fuzzy and nostalgic, yeah? For this feeling to last forever, you have to hit that like and subscribe button because with Box Set and Chill, the 80s and 90s never end.